Today, we're going to explore something really cool, drawn from Deng Dao's Everyday Tao. We're talking about the deep life lessons that are hiding in plain sight, right inside the visual stories of ancient Chinese writing.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What if the building blocks of language weren't just, letters and sounds, but entire philosophies packed into a single picture? It's a pretty wild idea, right? So let's dive in.
So just look at the character for love. It's not just some abstract symbol. It's a little story. You can literally see a person, a heart, and a hand reaching out to embrace. The whole idea, the whole feeling is right there in the image. And that's the key for us today, learning to see these words not just as text, but as teachings.
Okay, so where do we start? Well, we're going to start where the ancients did, with the big fundamental lessons that are all around us, every single day in the natural world.
First up, the sun. Now this character looks incredibly simple, but its meaning is the foundation for pretty much everything else. It's the ultimate symbol of life, of energy, of everything.
So the ancients saw all that incredible power just radiating out from a central core. And the lesson for us? It's about finding our own center, the source of our own strength and power, and then being impartial with that strength, sharing it with everyone around us, no matter who they are, just like the sun does.
All right, next up, let's look at the character for rice. Now this represents something so basic to life, but believe it or not, it teaches one of the hardest virtues to master.
This really gets at a deep truth, doesn't it? I mean, to actually grow rice, you have to get your hands dirty. You have to bend down, stand in the mud, and be patient. You have to wait for the seasons. So the big insight here is that real growth, whether it's in a rice paddy or in our own lives, it demands humility. It means we have to work with the world, not try to force our will against it.
And for our last lesson from nature, we've got the pine tree. This one is just a powerhouse symbol for personal character.
The ancient teachers would tell their students to stand like a pine. And what they meant was this: have a character that stays true, that doesn't just change with the seasons. Be loyal to where you come from, your principles. Act openly, be honest, and offer help to others without judging them. It's basically a complete roadmap to integrity, all wrapped up in the image of a single tree. Amazing.
Okay, so we've taken some notes from nature. Now let's see how these ideas actually work when we have to get out there and act in the world. A world is full of challenges and, other people.
And we have to start with this: conflict. Because, let's be honest, as long as we're out in the world, conflict is gonna happen. It's just inevitable. So the real question isn't how to avoid it forever, but how to handle it when it comes.
And that brings us to a really surprising idea in Taoism, one that's represented by this next character: aggressive. Now this one might seriously challenge what you think you know about this philosophy.
Whoa, right? But this isn't about being cruel or thoughtless. No, Taoist aggression is modeled on the wolf. Think about it. A wolf is shrewd, it's cunning, it is totally aware of everything happening around it. It means you don't just rush in blindly. You study the situation, you know your own strengths, and then, when the moment is right, you act with absolute, total decisiveness. And that whole idea of decisive action, it leads us straight to the character for leader. If you look closely, you can see it combines a weapon with a hand holding meat for a sacrifice. It's symbolizing both power and a deep sense of responsibility. And the message here is just crystal clear. A good leader can pull out a win even in a bad situation. But a bad leader, they can lose even when everything's in their favor. So what really defines leadership isn't the circumstance. It's the leader's inner character, their virtue, their intelligence, their experience. That is always the deciding factor. All right, let's bring the focus inward. How can these ancient words help guide our own personal growth, our own ability to just keep going when life gets tough? And we've got to start at the center of our being, the heart. But there's a really important distinction here, one that's totally different from a lot of modern Western thinking. Just pause and think about that for a second. In this ancient view, the heart and the mind were the exact same thing. Logic and intuition, thinking and feeling, they were never split apart. And when you start to see them as this single, unified whole, wow, 1,000 modern philosophical problems just vanish. So that idea leads us perfectly to the character for finish. The image itself is the entire lesson. It literally shows someone putting a roof on a house. It's that final act of completion that makes the whole structure solid, whole, and actually useful. And this one character gives us this incredible 4-step process. See, if you follow the simple but really difficult rule of finish what you begin, it changes everything.
It makes you more realistic about what you can do. It forces you to persevere, and it lets you build your future on a solid foundation of things you've actually completed. Every single finished task becomes a stepping stone for the next.
So, we've looked at nature, at action, at the inner self, and it all kind of boils down to this one ultimate question. What exactly is the Tao?
And the answer is just so beautifully simple and direct. The Tao isn't some far-off, mystical, impossible-to-grasp concept. It's the real, tangible path you create with your actions. It's the journey you take, the work you actually finish, the very process of living your life with intention.
So, in the end, the wisdom of the Tao isn't locked away in some ancient scroll in a library somewhere. It's right here, right now. It's in the sun, it's in the rice we eat, it's in the way you lead, and it's in your commitment to finishing what you start. It's an everyday practice of just seeing and then doing.
And so, we're going to end with this famous, beautiful parable from the Taoist sage Zhuangzi. It just leaves us to wonder about the nature of our own reality. You know, after everything we've talked about, maybe the most profound wisdom isn't found in the answers, but in the questions themselves.